Man, you read the title right. The voice of God can only be heard in silence. Yes, sir. Let me say that again. The voice of God can only be heard in silence. And you might be wondering, okay, man, how does that work? How does the voice of God actually come to me during those silent moments? Is it during meditation? Is it during prayer? Is it just, I don't got my AirPods on? That's when God talks to me? Well, relax, man, because your boy's about to break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Now, what do I mean by the voice of God? Am I saying like some dude's gonna come out of the sky and start telling you about what you need to do in your life? Am I telling you he's gonna speak to you in English? Am I gonna tell you that he's speaking to you in Spanish and French? Not at all. Not at all. So, what I mean by the voice of God will actually be heard within the silence is the fact that your higher self, your inner guide, your inner guru, your inner voice, your inner monologue has different radio stations to it, has different frequencies, and has different music that is going to play within your own mind, within your own consciousness. That's the fact, man. You already know. You have an internal monologue. When, let's say, when you're angry, that voice in your head is more situated onto that angry radio station. You get angry thoughts. You get angry overall impulses, intrusive thoughts. Yet when you're happy, the radio station changes to happier thoughts, happier vibrations. Yet the one that is truly the most powerful radio station is when there is no thoughts in the mind. That's when it's silence. That's what I mean by silence. All these birds can be chirping, you can be listening to music, you can be doing this, you can be doing that, but it's the internal silence where God, your higher self, that voice that actually will take you towards your highest potential, will be able to speak to you. This is why having a meditative practice is bar none an essential component towards your evolution on the spiritual journey of life. What is meditation at the end of the day? A lot of people think, oh man, it's for, you get a clearer mind, you get better productivity, you get focus, this and that. That is a part of it, yes, 100%. But at the end of the day, true meditation, what it's supposed to do is take your attention, take your focus, take your energy that is usually dispersed externally in the external world and revert it back inward, back into the internal world. Because within the internal world, there's so much turmoil, there's so much trauma, there's so much nonsense that's going on, a lot of chatter in the mind. A lot of those radio stations are just literally short-circuiting the actual transmitter station to the point where you can never actually tune into the God mode, the God frequency, this inner silence. That's what meditation is supposed to do. It's not supposed to cut off all your thoughts. It's not supposed to make you happy, this and that. It's supposed to take all the energy that you're putting externally. Oh, what is this guy thinking of me? When am I going to eat for dinner? What am I doing next week? All that stuff dissolves and you go back into the eternal void, the eternal state. The state where everything emanates from and where everything eventually ends up at. That's the eternal silence. And in the Vedic tradition, they call it Om. Om, that vibration of Om. If you're able to sit in true stillness, true internal silence, they say you'll be able to, quote unquote, hear the silent reverberation of Om. That is the primordial sound of the universe, they say. That is the voice of God, they say. That is your higher self speaking to you, they say. You're never going to truly understand who and what you are if your energy is always being extrapolated externally. Because the Maya, the matrix, the illusion, this material world is designed to what? Rob you of that attention, rob you of that energy, and actually maneuver it and manipulate it towards their own advantage, towards their own agendas. True spirituality, true spiritual knowledge is breaking you out of them. It's taking you out of that cyclical loop of being a slave to the external world, being a slave to your senses, because you will never truly be able to hear and understand what and who you truly are, what you're supposed to do while here on this material plane, if there's always that internal chatter caused by the external world. The internal silence is where you'll understand and hear the voice of God guiding you towards your highest path and highest potential in life. That's what you want out of your meditations. That's what you want out of your prayers. That's what you want out of your spiritual practices. That eternal inner silence. Without that, man, I'm telling you, you're always going to be lost within this world. You're going to go from this thing to that thing to that thing. That's why I always say, the answers are already all within you. Every answer that you're looking for in life. You might not have all the answers, quote unquote, right now. It's not uncovered right now. But if you truly are going through a crazy part of your life and you're looking for answers and you're looking externally, you're going to a YouTube channel, you're going to some type of podcast, going to a book, external knowledge, I'm telling you right now, it's futile. It's never going to work. You need to revert that energy back inwards and sit in that internal silence. And funny enough, God, the universe, your higher self will show you exactly what you need for that current situation, because now you've tapped into your omnipresent mind, your omnipotent mind, your remember what we said, Om, the eternal silence, that's the primordial sound of God. Think of the etymology of the words, omnipresent, omnipotent, O-M, Om. That's when you really tap into that state of consciousness where you understand what you need to do. That's why I always say, the stuff that we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. Look, man, if you're interested in topics, discussions, and subjects just like this, especially stuff like this on this specific channel, then I'm telling you, you're truly doing yourself a disfavor. Yes, you're doing yourself a disfavor by not joining up to the private Patreon community, because within there, you get access to exclusive content, full guides, in-depth occult lectures, talking about things to master the mind, master the body, and awaken the soul. And along with that, most importantly, if you tap into the highest membership tier, aka the Philosopher's Circle, you'll be able to get into our 2 monthly mastermind live calls. Yes, sir, we're doing 2 live calls each and every single month. We hop on a call with me and a community of like-minded men who are also on this same journey, also on the same path towards self-mastery in order to attain true self-realization and achieve their highest potential on all planes of reality. I'm talking about the mental, physical, and spiritual. A tribe that's going to elevate your vibe, get you closer to that transmitter station, that radio station, that's going to click you and connect you to the answers that are all within you. Oh man, fly in the way. So if you're interested in stuff like that, get into the masterminds, get up on all this game, get up on all this sauce within the private Patreon community, get into the private group chat we have also within the Philosopher's Circle. Check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video, because within the pinned comment of this video, you'll also be able to check out our other services and our other links, whether that's application forms for our personalized coaching programs, work one-on-one with me, one-on-one consultation calls. We got a free community Discord server, weekly newsletters, all that good stuff, man, post in the pinned comment of this video. But like I was saying, the stuff that we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, with the people I work with one-on-one, on the consultation calls, these are all tools, methods, tips, and techniques to get you closer to that internal silence where you'll find all the answers that you're looking for, where you'll find the voice of God that's going to guide you towards the higher path, towards your higher purpose, towards your highest potential. Is semen retention going to get you towards your highest potential? Absolutely not. Is just meditation going to get you towards your highest potential? Absolutely not. Is pranayama going to get you towards your highest potential? Absolutely not. Is psychedelics going to get you to that point? Absolutely not. All these things are like different tools, different mechanisms, different overall modalities to get closer to that core essence, that internal silence, like I just said, that will show you and reveal to you what it is that you really need to do for the time being. What it is, what's that move you need to make, what's the next step in your life, what's the next overall shift you need to make in order to ensure that you're on the right path, that you're actually fulfilling your duty in life, your dharma, your spiritual mission, your journey, what you were brought here to accomplish. That's where you'll find it. There is a whole manual, blueprint, map right there for you. Yet the map is being covered by all the nonsense of attachments, karmic desires, karmic debts, illusions, things that rob you of your attention, rob you of your energy, addictions. They make you seek externally for some source of comfort. Damn, man, there's flies killing me out here. That source of comfort is something that the ego enjoys. The ego wants to be in control. The ego wants to know what the fuck is going on. And the ego will only make sure that you stay in the position that you know what's going on. What do I mean by that? It's not going to let you and allow you and make it easy for you to tap into forms of knowledge, forms of information, forms of gnosis, aka knowledge that can only be accessed from within, that is beyond its current self-identity. If you're somebody that's addicted to, let's say, porn, alcohol, drugs, just overall vices that are kind of derailing your progress and hindering your overall evolutionary journey on the spiritual plane, on the mental and physical plane as well, the ego has already created a barrier in between your actual consciousness and that identity. It's going to protect that you're an alcoholic. It's going to protect that this is your coping mechanism for the troubles in life. When you're uncomfortable, you go drink alcohol. When you are feeling this type of way, you're going to go chase women, watch porn, do all these different addiction habits that are stemming from insecurities, usually from your inner child that we talked about before on this channel. Go check out that video if you haven't already. All those things are just coping mechanisms for that insecurity. However, that insecurity can only be truly transcended once you actually go beyond the ego, go beyond your identity, go beyond your false sense of self. And how do you do that? That's where the eternal silence comes into play. That's when the inner silence comes into play. That's how you go beyond the ego. The mental chatter in your mind, the external world, is just going to further feed the ego. What actually helps you go beyond it, not kill the ego, like I've said before. It's not about the ego is the enemy, the ego is this, the ego is that. I'm actually going to make a whole video pretty soon on this channel talking about how the ego is your key to enlightenment. So it's not about killing the ego, doing this, doing that. It's about transcending and not letting it dictate your actions and dictate your overall life in general. But the way you do that and the way you go about actually shifting your mind, your state of consciousness from that overall encapsulated frame, that bubble framework of this is who I am, this is what I do, this is all that I know, to actually expansive universal knowledge. It's not by reading more books. It's not by watching more podcasts. It's not by watching more videos on YouTube. It's not about anything externally. It's about going internally and actually sitting in that silence where it connects you to the all. It's in that internal silence where that voice of God, the higher self, the universal downloads, whatever you want to call it, actually starts flowing to you. Where you go beyond that I'm just this age, I'm this tall, I have these problems. That starts to dissolve. The attachments to who you think you are and the true wisdom, aka knowledge or gnosis of what you truly are, what you're meant to do, and what is the path, the next step you need to take on this material plane in order to ensure that dharma, ensure that duty comes into play, comes into fruition, comes into your mind. It's difficult to put this stuff into words, but I'm telling you right now, as someone who's tasted these states of consciousness through my own meditative practices, through the things I talk about again on this channel, the main channel, the private Patreon community, with the people I work with one-on-one, I've tasted it and I realized that, man, everything we need to be doing on this spiritual journey is inverse to what everybody else is doing on the other planes of reality. When you want to get better at a certain skill in life on the material plane, you want to get more knowledge, right? You want to get more information. On the spiritual, it's inverse, it's flipped. The more quote unquote spiritual you want to get, in reality that's a dumb way to say it, but the more of your true essence you want to embody without all the attachments, without all the egos, without all the illusions blocking you from that true source, it's about letting go. It's not about getting more knowledge, not getting more information. It's using those tools that we just spoke about to let go, to just break off the chains, break off the shackles, break off the ties holding you down, like anchors, like pieces of dead weight. And it's the internal silence that all those tools bring you towards that eventually snip off that chain, snip off that tie, snip off that anchor, snip off that piece of dead weight. That's where it all comes into play. And that is where the voice, the volume, and the radio transmitter starts to shift into your inner guide, the inner voice of God speaking to you. And when I say that, am I saying that, oh man, just some like schizophrenic shit's gonna happen of like, oh man, I'm getting voices from God, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm telling you, it's going to speak to you in patterns in your life, in synchronicities in your life. You're gonna be more aware, you're gonna be more focused, you're gonna be more realizing these types of communication frameworks that the universe, God, your inner self, your inner guide is sending you. It could be through your dreams. It could be through a random thought finally clicked. It could be through your gut instinct, your intuition, your spiritual senses start kicking in. Now you're more aware. This is something that if you've taken psychedelics, you can attest to. When you're on psychedelics, what I like to say, your spiritual senses starts kicking in. Everything that you quote unquote see or feel or experience on the psychedelic trip was always there right in front of you. But you weren't able to see it because right now you are operating mainly on your 5 physical senses. When you go beyond that and you tap into your 6th sense, intuition, you tap into the other spiritual senses, it's like you see the world on a more clear perspective. You went from 1080p to 4K. You went from a shitty camera to a great camera. You went from having bad vision to finally wearing glasses. It magnifies and makes everything much more vivid and understanding on a different realm of reality. That's what they do. But you don't have to depend on any of these types of substances, again, external, to get that same state of consciousness. It's when the mind is stilled and when the mind becomes silent and when the mind is fully immersed in its core essence, aka the spirit, can finally flow in through your consciousness and give you that direct information. The mind, again, like I've said before, especially within one of my latest videos talking about what LSD taught me about life, is the mediator in between the two realms of reality, the physical and the spiritual. It is the middleman. When your energy is so focused externally, all you're taking is essentially all the information that from your 5 physical senses back up to the mind, and then the mind registers that stuff and then puts it back into the body. It never goes up another level. It's always stuck in that little bubble. Mind, body, mental, physical, mental, physical. But the internal silence, when you actually start to revert that energy back to yourself in your meditative practices, guess what? A new channel opens up. body, mind, spirit, soul. Soul is able to send those signals, that voice of God, in that internal silence, to your mind. Your mind registers that and actually acts upon it through the body. The body gives back the information to the mind. Mind sends that information back to the soul. Soul goes on that same feedback loop. That's the best way I can break it down in a practical sense. That's what I mean by the voice of God actually starts to awaken within you. It becomes realized within you. It becomes actually audible within you. It isn't, oh man, something is just going to take over your life and just bring you towards glory. It's you get those signs, those synchronicity, those signals from a higher source that's beyond just general knowledge. It's a gnosis. It's that knowledge that's always been there within you. It's just you weren't able to connect to it yet. You would have known it with this video or without this video, with this book or without this book, with this podcast or without this podcast. It's always there within you. Yet you just weren't able to tap into it. Actually listen to it. If you've ever listened to a song so many times, you think you know everything about the song, yet one day something happens. Maybe for instance, when I smoke weed, I hear different layers to songs that I never heard or imagined before. That's the same analogy that's happening. You have this same song of life, same experience of life, yet there's different layers to it that you weren't able to actually detect, since your energy and attention was always being directed outwards. When you direct it inwards, those layers become revealed to you, and you can finally understand them. And those layers, those deeper layers of the song, and those deeper layers of your consciousness makes you have a deeper appreciation for the song, makes you have a deeper appreciation for life, and that deeper appreciation allows you to find that duty, that dharma, what you're really meant here, what you're really brought here to accomplish. That's truly what the voice of God and those deeper layers of all this information, aka knowledge that's not attained in books, in courses, in videos, that's what you should be focusing on when it comes to, oh man, I'm in this situation in my life, I'm going to pray to God, I'm going to meditate this. Look, stop wasting your time shoving this stuff externally. The answers are within you. The temple of God is within you. The information, the knowledge, the gnosis is within you. And you're not going to get it if you're always chasing for external means to give you that coping mechanism to be comfortable. The ego is just going to do its job, and that's what's going to happen. But if you are able to be aware enough, like I've said before on these videos, people who watch this channel, main channel, specifically this channel, private Patreon community, all that stuff, you guys are more psychologically and spiritually mature, mentally more mature. I'm not saying you're better than anybody, but what I'm saying, it's not easy to be able to listen to a video for this long talking about these types of topics in this modern day world where you need crazy edits, you need crazy thumbnails, you need crazy types of jump cuts and all that stuff, crazy topics to just get people's attention for 30 seconds. You got this far into the video, man, I'm telling you, you are more psychologically mature. It could be because your past lives, it could be this, could be that, who knows? You just were dealt a good hand when it comes to this aspect of life. But those who actually understand this, who are grasping this stuff, I'm telling you, external things, those coping mechanisms, those addictions, all those things that you have when you're in that state of like, what do I do in life? Don't even try to do anything. Tap back into the internal silence. And your answers won't be there right away, just like how it would on like, you ask someone a question like that. It doesn't work in that way. The internal silence is essentially allowing the opportunities to unfold for you. You're letting go of all attachments. You're letting go of all external kind of ties. Oh, my life needs to go this way. My life needs to go that way. You are allowing yourself to be receptive towards the higher guidance from God. When you're silent, you become receptive, and this is when you tap into your lunar state of consciousness, aka the feminine state of consciousness. I'm not saying, are you going to become a girl? No. When I'm saying feminine state of consciousness, you have a feminine state of consciousness, I have a feminine state of consciousness, everyone does, everything does. This is not gender, this is polarity. Masculine mind goes out and acts, external, makes things happen. The internal silence is literally when you tap into the womb of reality, the womb of the universe, where again, all things emanate from, where all things will go eventually and end up at. That's where all the answers reside. You can call it the Akashic Records, you can call it infinite intelligence, you can call it universal downloads, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes sense for you. The universal womb is only access to that feminine state of mind, the lunar state of consciousness, where you're able to receive. You have to make room for things to receive. If you have a cool piece of furniture that you just bought, and your house is flooded with junk, with trash, how are you gonna put that piece of furniture in there? How? You gotta get rid of all the bullshit. And that's what I mean, get rid of all the bullshit in a sense of get rid of all the attachments to external things that, oh, if I do this, I'll find all the answers. Oh, if I follow this person, if I read this book, if I check that podcast, if I watch this video, none of that shit's going to work. The voice of God, that inner guidance, that GPS system, that divine GPS system that's within all of us, that will navigate us towards our duty, our divine purpose, our dharma, just needs to switch on. And it's only switched on not through a light switch, not by doing anything externally, but it's doing it by actually reverting that attention internally and making the room for this stuff to happen, making the room for you to put that furniture in. That's how I want you guys to approach your meditations. That's how I want you guys to approach your spiritual practices. You're trying to tap into that state of mind, that state of consciousness, so you can actually receive the information. It's already within you. It's always been there. But now fully unlocked and unveiled and revealed to you for the time being. That's how you truly realize what it means to be connected and yoked to a higher source, higher divinity, higher consciousness. It's not all about go, do. You need to sometimes take the pause button when it comes to your mind activities in order for true knowledge, true wisdom to be imparted upon you. It's not something that's going to be easy that you're going to do in a day. It's not something that's going to be easy that you're going to do in a week. It's not something easy that you're going to be even doing in months. A meditative practice gets you to that state, but it's a practice. It's something you do consistently over time, more and more. There's different methods, techniques, of course, that I break down with on this channel, on the main channel, especially on the private Patreon community. Tons of stuff about that. We just dropped a couple videos about Trataka, one of the methods to be able to actually use meditation in a way where you focus your gaze on something externally. It's a tool, it's a method, but that external source, that tool, like a yantra, like the sun, a candle, allows that focus to be on one point, and that one point eventually becomes you. You become the candle, you become the yantra, you become the mandala, you become the sun, in a sense where all your external distractions start to zero in on one, and that zeroing in on one allows you to finally go within. It could be through pranayama, through breath work. We focus that attention all on one source, the breath, and that breath allows you to tap into different parts of your nervous system where you turn off the chatter in your mind and you turn on the radio transmitter signal to actually receive different sources of information that's already within you, not external sources, but a lunar state of consciousness, like we just said before. So there's all these tools, there's all these different techniques. It doesn't matter which one works for you. It doesn't matter which one you go about. But at the end of the day, that is how the voice of God will truly be speaking to you. It's in that internal silence. It's not at the churches. It's not at these temples. It's not at these mosques. It's not in these books. It's not in these videos. It's not in these podcasts. It's within you. So it's up to you to go out there and make it happen. To go out there and connect your phone line to that voice. Are you picking up what the fuck I'm putting down? Come on now. It's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that game so you guys can make these games, and I'm out here. Peace.